Nobody explains this clearly, not morally, mechanically. So let's talk about what's actually happening in your nervous system and why this pattern keeps repeating even when you want to stop. Because if you are here, you're probably in one of the two places. You are either carrying shame about something you can't seem to control, or you're genuinely confused. You've tried to stop and you don't understand why willpower isn't working. Both make sense, but both miss the mechanism. So let's start with the only question that actually helps. Not what's wrong with me, but what were you feeling right before it happened? Because that's where the pattern begins. Here is what's happening in your body. The before part, we're talking about when dopamine rises in anticipation, that pull, that urge, the thought that keeps coming back. This is not weakness, this is pure chemistry. The during part, you get a peak, relief, escape, sometimes pleasure, sometimes just quiet. The after part, the dopamine drops below baseline. That fog, that flatness, that why did I do that again? That's not punishment, that's the crash. And when this cycle repeats, especially under stress, your brain adapts and it downregulates the dopamine receptors, which means your baseline mood drops. Which, on the other hand, means that you need more to feel normal, which means that loop tightens. So, this is not a unique behavior. Food, scrolling, alcohol, overworking, etc. The list is long. Different behaviors, same nervous system loop. Now, here is the part most people don't understand. Shame is not helping you stop. Shame is the reason you are stuck, because shame triggers cortisol. And cortisol creates the exact internal state your body is trying to escape. So the loop becomes behavior, shame, cortisol, dysregulation, repeat. Shame isn't the brake, it's actually the fuel. And this is where most people get trapped. They think if I just feel bad enough, I'll finally stop. But you cannot shame your way out of a survival response. Willpower lives in the prefrontal cortex, and this pattern lives in the survival brain. And when you're tired, stressed, or overwhelmed, the survival brain wins every time. So instead of asking, how do I stop? Ask a different question. What is this actually doing for me? Because it is doing something. That's why it's still here. Now, get honest. When does it happen? Late at night, after a hard day, after a conflict, when you feel disconnected, empty. It's almost never random. There's almost always a state underneath it. And the most common ones look like this. Stress overload, your system needs release. Loneliness, your system is reaching for a connection. Disassociation, you either need to feel something or you stop feeling entirely. Transition anxiety, your body can shift gears and needs a bridge. Emotional buildup, things you didn't process are looking for a way out. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The behavior is working, not perfectly, not long term, but in the moment. It gives your nervous system something it needs, a relief, a regulation, an escape, a transition. And until you replace that function, not just remove the behavior, nothing changes. So the goal isn't to tighten the pattern. The goal is actually to understand it. And there's one more layer here, especially for women. A lot of that shame you feel, we feel, didn't start with you. And you inherited it. Messages like desire is dangerous, pleasure is suspect, your body can be trusted. That doesn't disappear when you grow up. It just goes underground. And then every time something feels too much, shame shows up to shut it down. Not to protect you, but to keep that cycle hidden. So here is a real question. What did the women before you believe about their bodies? And is that belief actually yours? Or something you never got to the chance to question? Because sometimes you're not just fighting your pattern, you're fighting theirs too. So what actually helps? Not willpower alone. Willpower runs out exactly when you need it the most. What works is this: awareness, interruption, replacement. So for the awareness part, map your pattern. When are you most vulnerable? What time? What emotional state? Not to judge it, to actually see it. Then for the interruption part, catch the moment before the behavior, even once. This is where the change starts. And for the replacement part, give your nervous system another way to get what it is asking for. Not generic advice, specific to your pattern. So if it's stress, a way to discharge it. If it's loneliness, create a contact. If it's transition, build a specific bridge. And reduce shame. Not by pretending the behavior is fine, but by understanding it. Because shame isn't your conscious. It's just chemistry. And it feeds that loop. And if the pattern is deep, please get support. This lives in the nervous system. And the nervous systems, they change fastest with nervous system work. You're not broken. You're not weak. You adapted. You found something that worked when you didn't have better tools. And now you're here, which means something in you is ready for change. This doesn't change through force. It changes when you understand what your body has been trying to do for you and give it a better way to do it. Comment with a heart and like and subscribe if you want to learn more. See you soon.